This
That was
go,
a dig, man.
I was just like, boom, I felt that one.
I thought we had started a fresh new year.
Alas,
Amen.
old habits die hard.
So, to set the tone, I'm going to start with a nice quote. Boys who spent their weekends making banana nut muffins did not, as a rule, excel in the art of hand-to-hand combat. It is Manliness Day. It is Testosterone Tuesday. That quote courtesy of David Sedaris. But we welcome Deon Lawrence, our DIY expert, to up the testosterone levels here. We're talking hammers and how to hammer effectively.
I firstly didn't know that there were so many different kinds. No, I prefer the guys are heavyweight.
You'll be surprised.
Take us through these,
Once you start looking at the different kinds of hammers, there's quite a few varieties, and I mean, we take it for granted, but if you look at food, we've got meat or hammers to tenderize meat. We've got different kinds. Judges have the gavels that they... So, I mean, hammers are pretty much part of our life without us even knowing it sometimes. And the complexities, you know, the mathematical side of it is actually quite intricate. You know, there's, if you look at a standard hammer, this being a claw hammer, basically there's a weight ratio, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. You know, you want to have the maximum impact. So the idea with most hammers are to kind of have impact and to apply force to a certain object, whether that be wood, metal going into a wood, metal parts having to fit together, or wooden parts fitting together.
Dude, with that kind of knowledge of hammers, that could be a pickup line on its own.
I was about to say, this comes from a man who's had to deal with every corner of this studio with every kind of material known to man.
And yet we were surprised that there are so many. So
it blows my mind. So where do we start?
Basically, if you look at this is what most people will probably have in their toolbox. It's called a claw hammer, and something like this is just a variation. It's a modern claw hammer. As soon as they get the rubber handle, it's just for comfort and a bit more grip. So if you look at this, obviously the head is probably the most, well, the part of the hammer that differs the most. So this having the face in the front, which is nice and flat for nails. You've got the claw at the back. You also get something like a cat's paw, which is to basically extract. So if you have a look at this, so many times, you know, you hit a hammer in or you hit a nail in and it's in the wrong place, you want to take it out, so you basically
I don't know what you're talking about.
Always right, okay. So basically it's just to pull it out. You do get a separate tool for that, but it's nice to have this. So this is basically your nice general domestic hammer that's always handy to have around.
Used in most scary movies.
Absolutely. If you look at something like this, being
a war hammer.
Yes, a ball peen. So some people might think it's just a nice variation. It's pretty, you know, it's nice and rounded at the end. Absolutely not, though. It's actually a machinist hammer, they call it. So this is actually for metal parts to kind of make it fit. Or, you know, hammering in rivets and things like that. So it's actually the metal bounces off the metal. So instead of making a mark, it just kind of hits on the spot and goes for it. So
cool stuff.
So then if you look at something like this, I know, Graham, you said you wanted to play with this as a child. You wanted it so badly.
Graham, put it down. No. When you turn 18.
So basically, probably the best use for this is when you go camping. If you had a caravan as a child or something, you remember hitting in the 10 pegs with this. It's the rubber, it's a softer form of contact, so it wouldn't damage the metal part that's going into the ground.
Hammering.
Or slip and
also very useful to have when you're closing those paint tins, the metal tins. Instead of using these guys, it's always nice using this because it actually just distributes the force evenly. All right,
so there's mini.
You might think this is
short arms.
a lady's hammer. It actually isn't. If you see this, it's got a little metal piece or a magnetic piece in there. And so when you put it there, it stays. So for your first impact, just to get the nail to set before you go with one of the bigger guys again.
Because that's always the thing, like that first shot could be devastating.
That's to find you,
And then fingers are off. So what's the right kind of technique? Can you teach us
basically,
technique?
if you first look at this though, obviously we spoke about the head. You get different kinds of heads. You even get copper or brass covered heads, which reduces the risk of a spark if you work in an area where there's
flammable.
Yes, exactly, where there's some fumes or gases leaking. The handle, it's very important. When you go out and look for a hammer, make sure it's something that's, you know, it's not too heavy, it's not too light. Most guys would say it will never be too heavy, but make sure it fits nicely in your hand. Obviously, the wooden handle just absorbs a bit of shock, but nowadays you get metal handles, you get...
And there's something old school and artisan about a wooden handle.
Absolutely. You know, it feels kind of like in the olden days.
Okay, cool.
So, basically, from there, you need to decide what it is that you want to hit in. Is it going to be wood? Is it going to be metal? Is it going to be copper? Is it something that you want to shape, for instance? Once you've established that, you can move on to the wood. So when you look at nails, you can see in front of me, there's a variety of different nails. These are all wooden nails. They've got some rounded edges, which just makes it a bit easier to go in. I don't know if the camera can see this. This is actually a textured wooden nail. You can see it's got a bit of a texture on top.
Yeah. See
So
that.
this is something
Bit
they
of
would
tread,
use
yeah.
in framing, for instance. You also get, we have a picture of a textured hammerhead where there's actually the same kind of pattern on the hammerhead, and just checks it, make sure that there's
Extra
maximum
traction,
grip.
yeah.
Exactly, so it doesn't slip off. All right, so otherwise, something like a wired nail, a wooden wired nail, round flat head, nice and easy to get in, and it's also got a nice sharp edge to go in. So some people would say that
I want to get to the action part of this, though.
I can see you are very excited though.
One of those big guys.
I think
Wow. Just walked into that one.
if you look at this though, so some people actually say it's best to, before you start hitting it into the wood, is to put it on its back and then actually just give it a whack or two on the sharp edge to blunt it. So that's basically just to kind of rather push the nail through instead of splitting the wood, which if you work with a softer wood like pine, for instance, it's something that can happen quite easily.
Okay, all right.
And then just quickly, if you take that piece away, you can see here knots. So what not to do? Basically, try and avoid these. It's a denser part of the wood, so if you hit it or you put the nail in there, the chances of it splitting
brittle, yeah.
might be good. It might be a bit weaker. So try and avoid those. Kind of try and work around it.
Yeah.
Kat, in front of you, you've got two pieces of wood there. The one is in a straight line, the other one is in a staggered line. Sorry. If you look at
These two here. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I
So-
really would like to get hammering soon, though.
You can try just now. If you look at this, it's advisable not to do a straight line, especially if there's a lot of grain in the wood.
So not this one.
No,
Yeah.
but rather try
Rather
and
this.
stagger it if you can, just to kind of even the tension out and make sure that the wood doesn't split. So, all right.
Right, can we hammer into this? Let's put
Absolutely.
him on top
Let's
of
give you
that.
guys
How's that?
a piece
Yes.
there and just see. So basically, if you do have a larger nail like this,
Thank you, sir.
it might struggle to go in the first hand. So you can
Okay.
always do a smaller nail and then just remove
Have
it,
faith, son.
just to
Have
have
faith.
it to set.
Okay, let's start.
Which
with
one
this.
would you like to
Do
try?
you want to start?
Okay,
with
cool.
this?
Oh, small. All right, cool.
Small is better though. So close your eyes and ears. Very
Oh,
nice.
no.
And stop.
no.
So
at
perfect
that.
example. I was hoping that would happen. Should you?
I knew that you would.
And I thought you didn't bend nails.
Yeah, no,
So
I would.
perfect. Well done, Kat. So
Nice.
if it happens that it starts bending, just lightly tap it from the side. Try and correct it as soon as possible, and continue to drive the nail through.
That's a bit. Come on! Gotta give it one shot.
Perfect, guys. And a last note, obviously. I know our time is
guy,
probably
yeah.
running out.
Yeah.
A last note is just the handle. So make sure, rather than choking the hammer, keeping it too high, increase the force of the hammer and just
More
lower,
leverage.
take it
Yeah.
lower. And also, try and keep it in a lever arm. So basically keep the same position, keeping it parallel to when you hit the nail. Not in the wrist. Try not to do it in the
my
wrist.
swing.
Dude, I think
Was
we
my
need a
swing.
second class. We will continue these hammer
You're a
lessons
champion. You're a
next time.
champion
But right
of
now,
hammers.
we're gonna go to an ad break as I drive this nail in
want this
one
big
shot.
guy.
Check it out. One shot.
Do it. Oh,
Totally. It's in. That's how flush it is. We'll see just now.